10 Twitch statistics every single streamer on planet Earth needs to know. You need to know these. When we saw these statistics, we're like, holy crap, we've got to stream this immediately. Andrew Perrin and Ross Dillon are here with me. Boys, how you feeling today? I mean, we love going through numbers, but these numbers are wildly interesting, and we're like, God, every streamer's got to know these.
Yeah, like, what was it? We did the other episode 2 weeks ago. I was all excited about Twitch, and I'm all excited about like all of the more viewership there. And then I saw this report. I'm like, oh man, we got to talk about this because everything's changing already. So I'm excited to get into it today.
These numbers are literally making Ross dizzy today. Literally. Yeah, literally dizzy. Yeah. So let's take a look at the numbers themselves. I'm not going to hold it back at all. There were some really cool statistics. This is in twitchtracker.com statistics. And one of the most mind-blowing stats here is the number of viewers per streamer, which is what you're looking at right now. And it starts in 2013 and it goes all the way to 2020. And on Twitch, back in the day, back in 2013, this is about a year after I stopped streaming. Oh, this is 2012 actually right here. There were about 30 to 50 viewers per stream on the platform on average back in the day. You go to 2014, it's about 30 to 40. 2015, low 30s. 2017 is starting to get down to 30. 2018, about 25. And today, it's 24. So overall, Perrin, what can we see here about Twitch as a platform from 2013 to 2020? I mean, I think this is the most important statistic to look at here. How many viewers are there per stream, right? How much audience can you get on average on a platform? What is your take on this decline?
I mean, look how it's very steady over the course of seven years here. It's so steady. In fact, if you look at the last couple of months in 2020, where you should see an increase because of COVID situation, we're on lockdown. You know, we're talking about the numbers showing higher viewership, which there is higher viewership for sure on Twitch right now. But the problem is there's so many more streamers too that you're still getting that decline. And even a huge worldwide event that drives people online more, like a pandemic, it's still declining. So, I mean, that's kind of the story here is the opportunity to get in and get more viewership on Twitch is dwindling year after year after year. And yeah, that's no different right now.
Yeah, people asked, and let's talk about that for just a minute. So people asked me, I remember we had conversations in TGN when we used to run TGN Twitch full-time with back-to-back streamers. We would advise streamers that were getting up and running that are now full-time today. And they would say back in 2014, back in 2015, things like, you know, is it too late today to start live streaming? And they were like, oh yeah, it's too late. Twitch is oversaturated, they would say back in the day. Well, that's not the case at all. Like, today is always the best opportunity to grow on any of these platforms. And the longer you wait, the smaller the opportunity gets. And this kind of proves that over time. And this is something that I think is really important for us to illustrate in this episode, is that, you know, the same thing is the case with YouTube, the same thing is the case with Twitter and all of these platforms. Once a platform becomes relevant and blows up, you have to jump on board on it immediately and to grow. And the thing is, this number is going to continue to go down, but that doesn't mean that there's not an opportunity here, does it? And that's why we want to look at the other stats to kind of contrast that. And so just looking at the total audience on the platform, though, we're going to go over to concurrent viewers now. Perrin, you identified last time, and I think Ross identified this last time, this mega spike here. Ross, do you think this mega spike in concurrent viewers right here is just strictly COVID and like that's the only reason why it's spiking right here? Can we think of any other reasons why it's really going up by this huge amount, the amount of average concurrent viewers?
You know, I honestly, I'm sure there are some underlying reasons, but COVID has to be the main reason. I mean, we have to be real about this. The entire world was on lockdown for essentially 2 months, and we're just now coming out of it. So that has to be the primary reason. I think the big question that I have is when we come out of this lockdown, as we're starting to, are those numbers going to start to dwindle again?
I mean, I think that they have to come down after that because people have to go back to work. I think this summer, though, the numbers are going to continue to stay very high, just as summer streaming numbers always stay high, because just generally speaking, kids are not at school. College adults are not at school, and everybody has more leisure time. And so this year it's a COVID-19 summer, and so I think summer numbers are going to be very strong. But then once we hit the fall, these are really, really going to decline in a significant way. Now that is an opportunity, by the way, everybody, to realize that competition is going to decrease on Twitch once everybody has to go back to real life. And so if you don't have to go back to real life as quickly or as hard or dedicate as much time to going back to your job as other streamers once we hit the fall of 2020, then you could jump in there when viewership is still relatively high, but competition is decreased. But just to read the numbers out loud here for those of you that are listening to the audio version, back in 2013, the average concurrent viewers was like, oh gosh, back in actually late 2012, average concurrent viewers on Twitch was 77,000. Moving into 2013, it's in the 200,000s. 2014, it's in the 300 and something thousands. 2015, 500,000. 2016, 600,000. 2017, 700,000. 2018, 900,000. And then once you move into 2019, 2020, it breaks into 1.2 million range. And what's crazy, for those of you that are watching the video version on YouTube and Twitch, you can see these spikes here during COVID. It's up to 2.4 million. So it jumped from 1.2 million up to 2.4 million, close to a doubling, basically, of the audience on this platform. So even if this goes down again, I'm just wondering if this represents maybe a permanent increase in the baseline viewership on Twitch. Perrin, I mean, people are going to be consuming hours and hours and hours of Twitch right now. Do you think they're just going to go cold turkey? I mean, they got to be hooked on that purple right now.
I mean, it depends on the content on Twitch. I think there's particularly some good content right now for people to be latched onto. But I think when you hit a scenario where the freedom of being able to get back outdoors once kind of the lockdown has ended, and that might take a while. I mean, that could even take like a year or so or more. I think people will be eager and hungry to be outside in the world and doing things in the world again. And you're going to see this drop way back off. We will be tired of watching Twitch for a year and want to go back outside. There will be great content. Like right now, I think people are being captured by like some specific big things. I've seen the real life content, the non-gaming content on Twitch be number one, like we predicted already, so many days. I've seen the rise in Grand Theft Auto 5 roleplay, which is like people pretending like they're driving around cars outside, like real life, like they aren't affected by a quarantine. So the types of content that I think are capturing people right now are specific to the pandemic quarantined lifestyle, and they won't be as appealing once we can actually like experience life normally again.
That totally makes sense. And so let's go ahead and take a look at the charts down here, which I think make it a little bit more clear what's going on and what the trend is over time. And just overall in 2020, as we mentioned earlier, the average concurrent viewers on the year is 1.8 million on Twitch, whereas we were at 100,000 when I started full-time back in 2012. Now, when we look at the average concurrent channels on Twitch, this is really, really interesting. So this is the amount of competition you're up against on the platform. In 2012, there were 2,000 channels on average I was competing against when I was live streaming on Twitch at that time. You too, Perrin, right? We were both able to get 500, 1,000 concurrents sometimes on Twitch, and it was amazing.
It was easy to just go live and have 200 people like right away, even if you were just like messing around. And I remember I just did Team Fortress 2. It was first time playing a game, didn't even do anything, and I had 200 concurrent viewers. I was like, oh, okay. Like, I guess that's
know.
Cool.
What an opportunity, right? Oh my gosh, what an opportunity. I remember when Diablo 3 first came out, I was like the person on Twitch that had access to Diablo before everybody else. I just happened to get lucky with my Battle.net launcher, and they front paged me on Twitch, and I had 3,000 concurrent viewers watching me play, and they're like asking me all these hardcore questions about Diablo. I'm like, I don't know the answer to those. And they're like, how did this a-hole get access and I didn't? Anyway, I was like, cool, whatever. Thousands of you are watching me, and so suck it. So anyway, it was 2,000 average concurrent channels in 2012. Now, this is the important thing for all of you guys to see, and let's break this out with the larger chart. How many channels are you competing against at any given moment? And as you can see, this competition has super spiked during COVID. So over time, it's grown, and you've seen that kind of grow in a corresponding way with the viewership curve. But here recently, during COVID, there's been 93,000 and then 100,000 channels live at any given moment on Twitch recently. Before COVID, that was only 40 or 50,000. So the competition effectively doubled during the pandemic. And that's what I'm wondering about. Is this competition spike that happened during COVID going to decrease right here on the back end as we move back into fall? And could that be the opportunity for streamers to break in that are looking to learn those skills over the summer and then can double down in the fall? And I'm talking about people that have a 9-to-5 job, people that are in school, but are able to say, you know what? I'm going to stream every night after my job. I'm going to stream every night after school, and I'm going to make YouTube videos along with that. And I'm going to do this knowing that tons of people are addicted to Twitch now because of COVID, but streamers have to go back to work. Is that my opportunity? I think that's something interesting to look at here. And given that Twitch is the best monetization opportunity out there in terms of live streaming platforms, this could be a strategy. As long as you have that YouTube component to go along with it, right? I mean, you can't expect to stream and grow on its own, but you know, with competition potentially dropping off, and we'll keep an eye on it. Do you think there's an opportunity there, or am I blowing that out of proportion? And is it still just ridiculous that you're competing against 100,000 people at any given moment? What do you guys think?
I wish we could see how many of these concurrent channels have only 0 to 1 concurrent viewer on average, because I imagine it would probably be something like 70 or 80% of all of the total channels. So for me, when I first looked at this, my thought was, oh man, the opportunity is already kind of dwindling or gone or whatever. But it all depends on that number, on the number of channels that are live and they're concurrent, but they don't have any viewership. And there's a lot of them. I know there are. I just don't know what the proportion of those are. Yeah. I actually still think, even right now, with such competition, I still think it's a good idea to try to get some viewership, to try to get some growth from Twitch, because you have an injection of a ton of new viewers who are going to be looking for different types of content than what Twitch might normally have. That's still an opportunity. You have a lot of competition. It'll be challenging, but it's still an opportunity. And so take this summer to get good at Twitch. Also, I wouldn't put all your eggs in the Twitch basket. I'd be doing something else too. But take this summer to get good at Twitch. That way you're ironed out and you're ready for when the fall breaks and the concurrent channels drop, because some lockdowns and some places around the world are able to get past the pandemic and open back up. Then you're already set. You already have your schedule. You might even have a couple of concurrent viewers. Then you can really see some growth. So it's kind of like planting yourself to be at the right place at the right time.
That makes sense. And Ross, I know you got in early, just to draw a parallel to another platform. You got in early on Twitter, and then you kind of rode that wave over time. What was your experience like on a platform like Twitter that got insanely, saturated, and then, competition kind of built out, and then there became less and less of an opportunity just to grow on Twitter? What is your experience like, creating those accounts back in the day, back in 2012 or whatever, versus maybe creating a new account today? Do you think it's impossible to grow a new account on Twitter on an oversaturated platform today on its own, or can it still be done? I'd love to get your opinion on that, because I think these platforms, supply and demand, and competition works so similarly between Twitter and Twitch and YouTube. What are your thoughts on that? Of back in the day, you see these huge streamers on the front page of Twitch, like they started, 6 years ago. That's why they're big. Well, is it possible to get big today? What are your thoughts on that?
It's definitely diminished compared to where it is. The issue with growth, and Twitch doesn't have this problem necessarily as bad as Twitter, is when your platform stops growing, when you stop bringing in new users, or in Twitch's case, new just viewers. then it does become increasingly difficult. When the platform's growing, that means a lot of people are coming on and looking for new things to follow, looking for new activities, looking for new fun accounts, as it was with Twitter. So when that goes away, like we are seeing with Twitter now, it really is nearly impossible to grow. Now, that doesn't mean it can't be done. I see a lot of accounts come in gaming accounts especially come in, and they're doing wildly successful now on Twitter. There's one account, and I can't remember the name. It's just an account that goes through every different video games and finds out which part of the video games violate the Geneva Convention. I'm not even kidding. Awesome. And this account is getting 3,000, 4,000 retweets. Everything they post, it's brilliant. I'll reply to our show with that. But the interesting thing, kind of going back a little bit, Perrin made a really good point that for Twitch, it now in this summer is the time to get better, because we also have to be very realistic.
The Geneva Convention. I'm sorry. That's a really I swear to God,
I'll send you it, man. It is a brilliant. It's a brilliant account, and it's just crushing. But going back, Twitch, getting good, getting comfortable with doing it now, because the truth is we don't know what's going to happen with COVID-19. Seemingly every expert says that we're going to have a second wave, maybe even a third wave of this, which will completely kind of maybe put us back in this same position, maybe not as bad now that we've kind of learned from our mistakes, but it could put us back in this position where a lot of us are self-isolating and quarantine again, and it could bring on a new audience. Not to mention, fall is when all the major releases come out for multiplayer, like we always talk about, AWOL.
That's a good point.
You got the new Call of Duty coming out, and now you have next-gen consoles that are still planning to release next year. So now is the time to actually start growing. But the competition, I think, where the competition is going to come in is kind of lost my train of thought on that. But long story short,
I mean, you're detailing a good opportunity here. Like the industry growth happens in the fall. It's possible that COVID-19 is going to at least suppress people's ability to go out and go do normal life, which means these numbers that we're seeing spiking on Twitch right now could continue to spike, both in terms of viewers and channels. So this could be, this unfortunate event could be, this sort of unnatural growth spike for Twitch that kind of sticks for a while, maybe through the rest of this year, maybe bleeding into next year. That's an interesting take.
Yeah, but you're going to have to push through it, because right now, as we're seeing, you're going to go on. You're probably not going to have. You're going to have very few, if any, viewers going into it. So the goal right now, kind of like what Perrin brought up, is stick with it. Learn what you're doing. Figure out what you're going to be doing. Go ahead and put a strategy in place, just in case we do get a second wave of this and people are forced to self-isolate again. And that's probably your best strategy moving forward right now. And I say that very much hoping that we don't get a second wave, by the way.
Me too. Let's take a look here at we promised you 10 statistics, and we're going to give you 10 incredible statistics. So this next number, this is like a yikes. Perrin brought this up. He's like, once he saw this number, he's like, we've got to stream this. So this is total active channels within a given month. So a channel that, however many channels on Twitch go live one time. This is the number, right? So back in 2015, 1.5 million were going live in any given month. If you go to 2017, 1.9 million were going live at any given time. In 2018, it spiked to 3 million. 2019, it went up to 4 million. But here during COVID-19, it has spiked to 5 million in March, and then 7.2 million in April. 7.2 million channels you have to compete against in any given month now. I don't think that this number is going to go down in May. We're probably going to see a similar number in May. Maybe it goes down slightly because some businesses are starting to come out of quarantine. But 7 million channels in any given month. I mean, wow. So if we look at that, the number of active channels spike here, and we look at the number of concurrent viewers at any given time, let's compare that number. So if there are 7 million channels going live in any given month, and there's about 2.5 million average concurrent viewers, obviously, you're looking at a pretty poor ratio there. If you look at concurrent channels, you have on average 100,000 channels going live right now at any given moment, and there's about 2.5 million viewers at any given moment. So, the viewer to concurrent channels ratio is okay, but just keep in mind, you've got 7 million other people that are trying to start up a channel, trying to get new audience and trying to make this thing happen. And obviously the majority of these people are going to fail, right? Because they're probably just attempting to go live on Twitch and just hoping they're going to get viewers there. And a lot of them are probably putting up big donuts. So what's your take on this millions of people flooding into the platform, Perrin? How is that going to change Twitch, and how do you see that trending over time here as we move into summer and fall 2020?
Well, I mean, I think looking at what happened to Mixer is a good kind of litmus test for what can happen here. I mean, we're talking much larger scale. I just want to look at numbers again really quick, and it's from a certain way. From January, since the beginning of the year, which is not that long ago, by the way.
Yeah, here's January. January was at 3.9 million.
3.9 million.
Mm-hmm.
We're basically like close to double that in 3 months, or a little over 3 months, which is insane. It's about 2 million more active streamers per month, it looks like. And we'll see. May this month's numbers will really kind of set the standard, like what the rate is. But imagine, this is like the gold mines opening up. Let's say there's already like 10 filled gold mines, 4 more open up, and like 2 million people are running after those 4 mines, and you're going to be one of those 2 million. You're going to have to find something that's going to set you apart. Yeah. You're going to have to find something that's going to make you iconic, and you're going to have to know what you're doing, because I do think the competition will be poor. I do think you are going to have a lot of people who are just trying this out. They're pretty new. They're not very high quality, although remember, quality doesn't always matter. And maybe they're not very entertaining. They're still learning their stuff. So yeah, you might be able to get a leg up, but it's really important that you have 1 or 2, or you think if you can get 1 or 2 or 3 concurrent viewers to set yourself away from the pack, and do that in any way. Like, ask your friends, ask your family, ask like your sister, ask your brother to like turn on your stream and watch it when you stream, because even that 1 concurrent viewer is going to do huge things for your channel. And you got to be looking at those small numbers being really important right now to set you apart from the pack. It's true. And
let's have some real talk here for just a minute. Most of these people that just piled in all of a sudden on Twitch and started streaming are going to be complete noobs. So they're going to be people that just Googled how to stream on Twitch, and they got my video or Alpha Gaming's video or any of these other guys that help you understand how to do this, and they're trying it for the first time. So you guys are smart. You're actually listening to a podcast right now and trying to learn strategy. And so you're probably light years ahead of them in terms of the way you think about your strategy. And most of these channels, if I were to guess, out of the basically 2.53 million that just jumped into Twitch, are just going live and think that by going live, they will grow. And so what you have to do, not only like what Perrin said, with asking everybody you know to watch your stream, but get that YouTube strategy up and running now. Now. This is your time. This is your time to break through with that YouTube strategy. I mean, it is extremely difficult to learn how to make videos, just in general, to learn how to even record your gameplay, to do a voiceover, to edit them, then to upload to YouTube, to do the thumbnail, to do all the metadata, and then just to understand that whole strategy we talk about over and over and over again here. It will take people months to learn that strategy if they try very hard. For those of you that are watching our show, almost all of you guys already know how to do that strategy. So you have the leg up strategically and in terms of your technical skills over these 3.5 million people that just jumped into Twitch, all these noobs. So when you talk about, I've been doing this for a while, but I haven't grown yet. These moments where the noobs come piling in and you have knowledge and experience and you've put in the work to understand what the strategy should be, this is the time when you can take advantage of millions of people trending into a platform. Let me just emphasize this. Millions of people trending into a platform, as you can see right here, 2.5 million on average at any given moment, and the noobs not knowing how to capture that audience. But you know how. Creating YouTube videos, and in every single YouTube video, you say directly into the camera, I go live on Twitch every Tuesday, Saturday, and Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, and there's a link in the description below. Come join our community for XYZ value that happens there. Then when your end screen plays on your YouTube video, it should be a highlight clip of something interesting that happens during your recent stream so people can kind of see what that feels like and how interesting that is. And you can start driving viewership from YouTube over to Twitch. This is what the pros do, and this is what is actually growing the biggest streamers right now, is this type of strategy. Like these mid-tier streamers that then become big streamers, these mid-tier streamers break out of mid-tier into big because their YouTube channel often is driving a lot of that growth outside of what Twitch is giving them. This is your chance to use that knowledge and that research to your advantage, okay? But wait, there's more. So in terms of the actual hours watched, here's something that was fascinating. We're not done with it yet, but you've got a lot of viewers, but are the viewers that are sticking around in Twitch actually quality viewers, right? So hours watched is one way to measure that statistic. And so over time, with hours watched on Twitch, in 2012, there were 73 million hours watched. 2013, 150. 2014, 2.200 million. 2015, 300 million, et cetera, et cetera. It just keeps going up. Until in 2019, you're at about a billion hours watched in any given month, which is insane. But then as we move into COVID-19, it spikes here in April to 1.7 billion hours watched. So the viewers that are coming into Twitch right now, if you're worried about it, are they casuals? No. They're coming into Twitch and they're chugging content for hours. And there's this like a day-long keg stand of Twitch content right now. And these viewers are hungry for Twitch content. So these are high quality viewers right here. So what's your take on this, Perrin? I mean, I have a hard time seeing millions of viewers come into a platform and then chugging the content by the amount of 1.7 billion and then just dropping that Twitch habit once COVID-19's over.
I mean, I think they're at home. They can leave Twitch on, like all day, or they have it on a second monitor while they're playing games all day. Eventually when they have to go back to work, it will cut that down. Unless they're sneaking in at work because they're so hooked on it, depending on how good the content is. I think, there are some great streamers on Twitch. I do think they're going to pull in a lot of new viewers who are going to be regular, like concurrent viewers with high watch time even after COVID. I think you've got a lot of converted Twitch viewers from this experience. But it will drop simply because people will have to actually go back to their daily lives. I think you're just seeing that really high number because there's nothing else to do. And the nature of Twitch streaming, a lot of these streams, a lot of the big streamers are streaming in like big 8-hour chunks. And you've got people who will be there for the beginning, the whole way to the end. So they're watching, it's not like watching a movie where you sit down for an hour and a half. They're watching 8 hours of content, one chunk, because that's how the streamers are designing the content. Take note of that. If you want high concurrent viewership and you really want to convert viewers and they're this hungry, you want to look if you can achieve it physically at having a long stream duration, keeping the uptime to keep people satisfied. Now, don't do it if you're just struggling to be entertaining and you're running out of things to do. But if you can have something to do and you can stream in a charismatic, exciting way for long hours, that's the formula that's working here.
Agreed. Guys, let's quickly cover games and then we can talk about this maybe more in depth later. But this is another, for those of you that stuck around toward the end of the podcast, this is the money right here. This is the top games. For some reason, my screen isn't refreshing. There we go. This is the top games that are being streamed right now from number 1 through number 10. And Valorant is by far the number 1 game. The new FPS game from Riot. And then interestingly, and Ross, you've been going bananas for this recently, but Just Chatting is the number 2 game on Twitch. And Just Chatting is multiplayer. It's one versus many. And it's people just chatting in front of their mic, obviously, right? So Valorant is way out ahead in terms of the amount of average viewers, 376,000 I believe on a daily basis is the average viewers that this is getting, which is crazy. Number 2 at Just Chatting at 230,000. And then Fortnite is down at number 3 at 169,000. So Valorant is basically more than doubling the average concurrent viewership of Fortnite, of League of Legends, of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, of Grand Theft Auto 5. It has leapfrogged all of these other games. And so I don't know how much you guys have been. Have you guys been looking into Valorant? Have you guys been checking out gameplay for this game?
I haven't. No.
I have some. I've been watching some. I don't really consistently watch a single streamer. I just tune in. It's not really my thing. But what I've noticed is a lot of different streamers who have gotten big streaming other things, they'll dive into Valorant, but they'll come back out after a while and they get tired of it. So yeah. I think right now, because it's early access, it's very much hype, and because it's a Riot title, it's up there. You've got every streamer who knows. League of Legends made so many streamers, right? So this is the depth of the strategy thing. I think is, here's our next game. I'm gonna get big on Riot's next game because Riot makes streamers big. I'm just gonna play that game because I know it'll make me big. I think you're seeing that a lot, and obviously a lot of the bigger FPS competitive creators are going towards it. But from what I can tell, it looks like they'll get kind of bored and come back out and go to other stuff. So yeah. Until it kind of launches, I don't think it's going to necessarily solidify that number one spot. You might see it get topped here and there. But once it launches, then that'll be an interesting point. I think we'll see it maybe kind of cemented as number one for a while. We'll see.
We'll see if it's cemented as number one longer term. You never know, right? It's impossible to predict. I think at the very least, Valorant will be, let's say, something like and I'm scrolling down here to see the other games, like a Counter-Strike, like a CSGO type of position, where it's a game designed for hardcore FPS players. And Counter-Strike being I just screwed that up and pulled up Counter-Strike, but Counter-Strike being an ancient game that has been live streamed for a very, very long time. It is still a top game on the platform. It's still number 7. I think Valorant, at the very least long term, will be a top 10 game, if I were to guess, like Counter-Strike Global Offensive, which is coming in at number 7. Dota 2 is coming in at number 8. Minecraft is coming in at number 9. And FIFA 20 is coming in at number 10. But all of these games right now are dwarfed by Valorant. But here's the interesting thing I wanted to pull up for you guys. So the average viewers, here Valorant obviously number 1. But look at this. The average channels, if we switch over, do you see the do you see the interesting contrast here? So for our audio listeners, average channels, Fortnite is number 1 with 13.8K average channels. And Valorant's number 2 at 9.6K average channels. But when you go to average viewers, Valorant has double the viewership of Fortnite. So the point here is there's about, let's say, 50% more Fortnite channels, but only half the viewership for those Fortnite channels recently. So Valorant actually represents, based on these numbers, a much better opportunity to grow your channel than Fortnite does, because there's less competition and there's double the viewership. And so this is an opportunity for people to break in. What are your thoughts on that, guys? I mean, there's still tons of competition, obviously. At any given moment, there's 9,000 channels, right, that are streaming. But there's a better opportunity there than Fortnite, at the very least.
Yeah, so two things. So for Valorant, real quick on that point, it's number 1 now. It's number 1. If you notice, not in top 10. Overwatch is not in the top 10. I mean, Overwatch has gotten to this point where I think a lot of its popularity has died down. So a lot of your Overwatch players are in Valorant. As soon as Blizzard does something new with Overwatch, boom, dynamic shift. You're going to see Valorant cut down quite significantly. Like, it's the same type of game.
That's a good point.
And the new Overwatch 2 or whatever is going to be pumping right back up. Mm-hmm. Also, that actually kind of adds into the opportunity of Valorant. So right now, we're talking about all these new streamers coming in. From this data, I would say a good portion, I would say a majority of the portion of the new streamers are young and they are streaming Fortnite, which means you know where most of them are going, so you know where not to go, where all the competition is. They're going to go, all these young streamers are going to go to Fortnite and not get any concurrent viewership. Unfortunately, I wish they would. I wish it were that easy. I know that they really love that game and they want that to happen and they think that's going to work. It's not going to work. You would be better off going for Valorant for 2 reasons, because it's less competition and it's higher on the tier in terms of viewership. And whenever all the big Overwatch stuff comes in and you're still streaming Valorant, boom, you still all have all those people who like Valorant who don't care about Overwatch. Now, some of the viewership will die down a bit, but that drop of all the major players in Valorant will give you an opportunity. So if you're looking at either one of those to make a choice, it's a clear, obvious choice to go Valorant. Obvious. I think so anyway.
That makes sense. And we have to go service our clients here in just a minute. But the other point I'd want to make here is just chatting. In terms of average channels, there's only 3.4K average channels for just chatting. It's number 5 in terms of the average number of channels streaming right now on Twitch. However, when we look at viewership, just chatting is number 2. So what that means is that's an opportunity to grow. If you just fire up a stream and you're just chatting with your audience, there is a demand for a demand higher than Fortnite, higher than League of Legends, higher than Modern Warfare, higher than Grand Theft Auto 5, higher than all of these games except for Valorant from a viewership standpoint for people just to chat and hang out. But the number of channels actually doing it is lower than Fortnite, lower than Valorant, lower than Modern Warfare, lower than League of Legends. So just chatting, a big takeaway for me here is just chatting is actually out of all of these games, quote unquote, just chatting is actually the biggest opportunity to grow, just based on supply and demand. Viewers want to just hang out with people while they're chatting, and there are not enough channels doing that right now. And so that's actually the number 1 growth opportunity game is actually just chatting with your audience, not a game at all. That's why we wanted to show you these stats, everybody. These stats are fascinating. So if you want us to do more episodes like this, diving into statistics on these platforms and showing you the truth, not just our opinions, this is important, I think, to really understand what's actually going to potentially grow your channel and how to put the odds in your favor. Gentlemen, any closing thoughts on this subject before we end this episode of the Digital Drop Podcast?
I hope that we didn't discourage anybody from going the Twitch route today with the numbers. Hopefully, if you're really, really excited about being a creator on Twitch, you still go and do that. I would just say, also consider being a creator in other places too. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. And I'll end with that.
That makes sense.
You don't even have to put all your eggs in a basket. Just go chat.
Just go chat.
Just go chat.
Basically, just chat with us and chat with everybody else on the internet. You're good.
It's working.
You don't even have to be good at video games. Like, you don't even have to talk about video games. It's crazy. It's not crazy. It's obviously super predictable, right? That's what all the rest of social media is. Talk about something you're interested in. Maybe even do a podcast like this and release videos every single day, every single weekday on YouTube. If you want to catch the video replays, like these statistics episodes are so much better if you can see the stats on the screen. Just search us on YouTube, Digital Drop Podcast. Also, the audio version, of course, is on every single podcasting platform out there. Be sure to give us 5 stars on Apple Podcasts. That we've only got like a dozen ratings and we've got millions of viewers. So please give us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts if you have not already. We would greatly appreciate that. We really want to break through in the podcasting space, not just here on Twitter and YouTube, and your help from our viewership. If you get any value at all from our episodes, from this episode, that 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts does wonders for us. Unfortunately, that's what they use as the trigger to understand whether they should suggest a show on that platform. It's 5 stars. So do it. We'll see you in the next episode, streamers, and hit us up with any questions that you may have on Twitter at Digital Drop Pod. Adios, amigos. Happy streaming. I'm not Alpha Gaming, but I just used his tagline. Happy streaming.